Y'all already know who it is, man. It's your boy Underrated Mage. Today I'll be doing a video discussing new fairy tale manga. But before I get into the video, I just gotta say that if you guys are a fan of Bleach, the series known as Bleach, so go ahead and subscribe to my Bleach channel. I'll be uploading videos similar to this on that channel. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Now, when it comes to fairy tale manga, we know that it has ended around a couple weeks ago. I actually think it was actually a month ago, if not 2 months ago. And fairy tale, we basically haven't began any new content. Now, there are a lot of people, including myself. Yes, you guys know that I make videos on fairy tale every day. I'm a believer that fairy tale will be coming back, whether it's in an anime form, whether they just start making their own little like new anime series, or whether if they do a new manga series. However, I am more confident in them taking the route of going with the new manga series, simply because that one seems a lot more, how should I say this? It seems a lot more modern. A lot of other shonen, they've done that too. And not to mention the fact that we know that Hiro Mashima has a past for actually creating new fairy tale spin-offs or new fairy tale mangas and having other people do it for him. So I actually do think that if fairy tale was to come back, first they would make it into a new manga, and then they could eventually adapt it into an anime. So today I'll be doing a video discussing why I believe that a fairy tale manga, a new fairy tale manga, isn't too far-fetched to think about. Now, when we think about fairy tale spin-offs, the first thing that comes to mind is the first fairy tale spin-off, which is Fairy Tail Zero. Now, this one I definitely do think is the most successful spin-off, and that's easily because number one, it was the most interesting. It was about the origin of fairy tale. It was the first spin-off, and we already know that whenever something is the first to do something, that's when it's at the most interesting point. You know what I'm saying? That, and I'm not talking about manga in general. I'm talking about just in like life general. The first thing to do something, or the first product of something, is always the most interesting. And not to mention the fact that it was all written by Hiro Mashima. Yes, we know that the other spin-offs after this weren't necessarily written by Hiro Mashima. They were written like, the story wise, but they weren't illustrated by Hiro Mashima. But Fairy Tail Zero had both. It had a good story that was written by Hiro Mashima and good art that was written by Hiro Mashima. So a lot of people, they could connect to this, and they just saw this as another fairy tale series. And I gotta be honest, this was some of the best content in the fairy tale series. Like fairy tale Zero, combined them, like just out of fairy tale period, this was some of the best content. Seeing about Mavis and Zeref, seeing Zeref teach them how to use magic, even when it got adapted into the anime. Listen, you guys know me, I'm not the biggest fan of the 2014 anime. A lot of people, they tell me, yo, you gotta put some respect on 2014 anime. I don't think the 2014 anime is bad. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it sucked, but I'm just not, I just think that the original anime, was a lot more better than it, in terms of like, not even in terms like story wise, but just in terms like how it was animated stuff. I just like the animation of the original anime way more than the 2014 anime. So I just look at the 2014 anime and I'm like, it's okay, it's just not my thing. But yeah, I just got off point, but that's not the point. Fairy Tail Zero, created by Hiro Mashima, written by Hiro Mashima, and yeah, that was the first fairy tale spin-off that we got. Now, the next spin-off that I want to discuss is Fairy Tail Ice Trail. Now, Fairy Tail Ice Trail was the second spin-off, and this one actually wasn't written or wasn't illustrated by Hiro Mashima. Yes, usually whenever Hiro Mashima actually does have somebody else illustrate it, he actually has one of his assistants do it, and this is actually a really good thing to do. Like, shout out to Hiro Mashima, because he's giving back to the culture, he's giving back to the manga culture. And I know some of you guys might be thinking, how is this good? Well, this is good because when he lets other mangaka, or basically his assistants, illustrate it, that gives them a chance to get their foot in the game. It gives them a chance to show off what they can work with. Now, granted, they're not writing the whole story, they're not doing the whole story from scratch, but the fact that they're doing their artwork, that they're able to show off their artwork, let's be honest, 95% or 90, I want to say 90% of manga is artwork. If a series has like terrible artwork, then people, they won't check it out. Like, the only exception is like Hunter x Hunter, where we know that series is like even I could do better than that. Like Hunter x Hunter, that's like the only exception, and even then some people still don't read the Hunter x Hunter manga, even though they know the fact that the storytelling is like, the storytelling for Hunter x Hunter is crazy, but yet some people still won't read it because of the artwork. And the fact that Hiro Mashima lets his fans, or not even his fans, his assistants use their artwork, that's good. But Fairy Tail Ice Trail, this, I actually did read this one all the way through as well. This one was basically about Gray's past, because we didn't really see too much about Gray's past, you know, prior to Fairy Tail. We know that Silver, he kind of like elaborated a little bit, but his past was still a blur for the most part. And I definitely do think that with this one, this was great to see, because we got to see new characters, you know, like Gray first using his ice make. We even got to see Gildarts get involved. Like Fairy Tail Ice Trail, I definitely do gotta say that me personally, this was one of my favorites of the spin-off series, simply because we got to see the past of Gray. Now the next spin-off that I want to discuss is Fairy Tail Blue Minstrels, and I'm gonna be honest, I have not read this. Like, I did not read this one, but correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this one is about Wendy's past, or I think it's about like Wendy when before she joined Fairy Tail, and we know that she was in that guild with the make-believe people. So I definitely do think that this one, yeah, it was the art. I think the main thing about this one was the artwork for me, because it just didn't look like fairy. It, like, you know, it looked like some, like, I think they call it shoujo, where it's like made for like female audience or female people. But yeah, the artwork was really what was throwing me off, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm saying that the artwork was bad or anything, but I just seen it and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna give this one a pass. But no, from what I've seen, for the most part, like from screenshots and stuff, it looks, you know, it looks like it doesn't like go off away from the story. So maybe one day I'll read it, maybe I'll actually read it on stream for you guys one day, I don't know. But yeah, Fairy Tail Blue Minstrels, it was about Wendy's past. I still haven't read it yet, however I will have to, I'll have to sometime in the future, because, you know, I gotta give some respect to Fairy Tail. You know, it was still written, it was still like, you know, written the story wise by Hiro Mashima, so it can't be that bad. Now this one, I don't know if I would agree at all. This one is called Fairy Tail Girls, and yeah, Fairy Tail Girls, if you're not a girl, I'm gonna be honest, what do you do to read that? Like, this is made for the Fairy Tail female fans only. So yeah, Fairy Tail Girls, I seen it, or I seen like the cover art of it, and basically it looks like that it's just for like, this one looks like that it has like no story for it, you know what I'm saying? It looks like that it could be adapted into like an OVA or something, because it's called Fairy Tail Girls, so I'm assuming it's about the girls of Fairy Tail. Maybe they're doing like some mission together, I don't know. But I seen this one, and I think that this one probably has like the least amount of, like, I don't want to say at least, it probably has the least amount of like important story wise, because the other ones like Fairy Tail Blue Minstrel, even though I didn't read that one, Fairy Tail Blue Minstrel, Fairy Tail Ice Trail, they all had to do something about the character's story, you know, the character, it had to do about a certain character. But this one is about like the group of girls. So Fairy Tail Girls, I haven't read that, but yeah, check it out. I'm probably gonna, maybe I might check it out later on, who knows. And the last one I want to talk about is Fairy Tail Gaiden. Now Fairy Tail Gaiden is a little bit different, because this one, it kind of like, it told multiple stories in one spin-off, if you know what I'm saying. Like, they would have like like they basically split up characters in like certain groups of chapters. Like, for example, I believe the first 10 chapters, it was about Sting and Rogue, and this one was actually interesting. I actually did like reading about the twin dragons, about reading about Sting and Rogue and all the whole guild thing. So that one was interesting. I like the Fairy Tail Twin Dragons thing, but the one that was the most important, or the most interesting to me, like out of all the spin-offs besides Fairy Tail Zero, was Gajio's past. Yes, we actually got to see a spin-off on Gajio's past, and this one was actually very cool, because we got to see like him interact with like the Magic Council. We got to see how he was even before he had joined the first guild, the Phantom, I think they're called Phantom Lord. It's been so long since I said the name Phantom Lord. That's the first thing that comes off the top of my head. And I know a lot of people there are wondering, wait, because we know Gajio, this is kind of a little bit of a spoiler, but at the same time it really isn't, but we know that Gajio, after the time skip, he basically joined the Magic Council, and a lot of people were like, wait, why did he join the Magic Council? It's so random. But yeah, we found out that Gajio, the person who took care of him, like besides his dragon, was from the Magic Council. So he actually was inspired by her to go out and actually join the Magic Council. So I thought that was really dope. I enjoyed Gajio's past. This was definitely my favorite one. and not to mention the fact that Gajo is one of my favorite characters. So yeah, I definitely did enjoy this. And last but not least, I want to discuss Laxus's spinoff. Now, surprisingly, I haven't actually read this. Like, I'm actually a huge Laxus fan. You guys know that I am a huge Laxus fan. I like his character, and I also am, some people call me a Laxus tart because I put him ahead of Natsu when it comes to strength. I don't know, man. I'm just saying that Laxus, he's one of my favorite characters, and I'm actually gonna go read this right after I'm done making this video. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I'm gonna start reading this because it's listen, the story about Laxus, dope. Hopefully we'll get something about oh my god, I'm just now thinking, what if we get Laxus's past revealed, like showing him and Ivan actually, like Ivan, his father, actually like putting the cream outside. Yo, I gotta go read this. I'm about to hit end record and go read this right now. But yeah, overall, after seeing all these stories, this had me believe that yes, there is a chance for a fairy tale spinoff. And even if you're not just looking at this fairy tale spinoff, just what there have been a couple mangas that I want to use. For example, the first manga I want to use is Naruto. We know Naruto right now, it has a manga that's ongoing too, and it's kind of doing the same thing that fairy tale is doing, where it has Masashi Kishimoto, the author of Naruto. He's basically like overwatching like how the whole process goes. Like, he's like watching over everybody, but he's letting his assistants do like the artwork and, you know, the storyline. But Kishimoto's like watching over it all to make sure that if they try to do something like Naruto gets a Sharingan, Kishimoto will be able to put his hand in and be like, no, that's not happening. So I definitely do think that is one example that I could use. And then another example is the Dragon Ball Super manga, whereas we know that the Dragon Ball Super, the manga is being illustrated by somebody else than Akira Toriyama. Toriyama, he's the creator of Dragon Ball Z, and Toriyama, he's kind of just sitting back, you know, he's kind of just like giving them the direction. So I definitely do think that Hiro Mashima, he could take that route too, or he could do the route that he previously did, whereas he let them just do the artwork and then he helped out with the story. But overall, what do you guys think? Do you guys think there's a chance for a new fairy tale manga? I think that there's a high chance for a new fairy tale manga, and if there is one, it's going to be hype. Comment what you guys think down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.